Fall is officially upon us, my friends, and you know what I love to do is seasonal little makeup switch up. I gotta update you on some things that I'm loving and using for the new season ahead. We've also got the toilet paper roll rocking, so you know that it's a good day. LOL if this falls out while we're doing the makeup. That is highly probable on a day like today, but that's fine. Anyway, guys, we're gonna do a full face, an updated everyday makeup look for the fall season. And let's just dive right in. I've got a couple new things. I also did a big shopping my stash moment. There's a few things that I just want to keep using and putting to the test, starting with the new Charlotte Tilbury Water Magic Cream. So many people have been raving about this. My skin is feeling dry as the weather starts to get colder, which it has. Like, you can tell me, oh no, the official first day of fall isn't until so-and-so. For me, fall started really when September started, because that's when it started getting crispy outside and the fog has been rolling in. Like, it's real, guys. Fall is here, which means winter is coming. So we got to make sure that the skin is nice and oozy and juicing. That's a beautiful option. Basically what I do, I keep like some of my moisturizers in here, my sunscreens in here, and when I'm having like an at-home filming day, which is today and many days for me, I'll do my serums and whatnot in the bathroom, and then I come in here and put on like the more priming style moisturizers. So something like the Charlotte Tilbury cream for me is that. The Rhode products, my Embryolisse. Those are the kind of lotions and potions that I like to keep at my makeup desk for when I'm doing my makeup, because they sit really nicely under makeup. And yeah, that's very, very thick, very watery indeed. I kind of feel like that's gonna be fabulous underneath my makeup. Now, as for the base, I've got a few of my favorites that I love to keep on hand all the time. I'm still rocking with the Dior Forever Skin Glow. However, I would like to acknowledge that this is the shade 2N, which is my tanned shade. I really need to get the shade 1N, which I haven't yet, so I've put on a turtleneck. I mean, also, it's turtleneck season. The weather calls for it regardless, but we're just gonna ignore the fact that I do need to pick up the lighter shade in this. So I'm gonna use this really sparingly. I'm putting literally like half a pump on my hands. I've been loving this foundation. Like, my everyday makeup is definitely just continuing to be inspired from my wedding makeup look, because I loved it so much and it was so light and natural, and that's what I definitely love to do for my everyday makeup all the time. But something that I can really quickly, easily slap onto my face with a brush and not have to fuss with is ideal for me. And this just has the most beautiful light, really dewy finish and just wears so well throughout the day. Some foundations on me, even if I love them when they're applied throughout the day, they can kind of get really yucky. And this one on me I've been loving so much because it does just kind of stay looking the same throughout the day, which is not always the case. So I love that. This is my It Cosmetics number 7 brush, which is just this really big fluffy brush, and it just blends everything out so easily. Now, there's a few new concealers that I've been seeing come out on the market. There's a few that I want to put to the test. I want to keep using the Tower 28 one. The Makeup by Mario concealer is one that I want to test. And I also saw that there's a new House Labs, and I love the House Labs foundation, and I would love to kind of see how that would be, especially going into the winter when you're really wanting the extra dewiness as a gal with dry skin. So there's a few concealers that I want to put to the test, because I did recently open up the Tower 28 one, and I also love this shade. I love how like truly neutral it is, which is hard to find in lighter concealers. I'm going to keep using this one and see how I feel. So this has been added to the daily lineup so I can keep putting it to the test. It's so creamy and smooth. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's such a satisfying, it feels like a thick paint, but it's thin at the same time. I don't know. It's pretty cool. And again, love the color so much. And the first time that I tried this, I actually really didn't like the base that was underneath it, so it wasn't a fair test. So I've been continuing to put it to the test, and I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. Obviously, we'll keep you guys updated on my findings, but so far so good. And yeah, the biggest thing for me is the shade. It's the color in particular. And I am justifying myself in saying that because Nikki Makeup, aka the makeup artist extraordinaire, she talks about that as well in her master classes when she's going through her kit. She talks about how she keeps a few concealers and foundations in, like literally just 1 or 2 shades, because she really likes that particular shade. She'll be like, oh, this particular one she referenced was the Dior Backstage Concealer in the shade 2N, and she was like, this shade is everything. And she keeps it in her kit and uses it on so many people. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about this concealer, like right away. It was just the shade and how well it matches my natural skin tone, which doesn't always happen so frequently. So this is the shade DTLA, Downtown LA. But even though the shade is great, that doesn't mean that it gets an automatic pass because it also has to wear well. So TBD, we'll keep you posted. That's the concealer that I'm testing out. And a few others that I'm interested in. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. If there's any that you're loving at the moment or any that have been tickling your fancy as well, please do let me know. Now for cream bronzer, I did keep that Fenty cream bronzer. This one's in the shade 02 Butter Biscuit. I also have the Vive Modern Radiance cream bronzer, which I think because it's a lighter shade is actually one that suits my skin tone the best right now. Like, look at that. It's sculpting, it's adding some definition to the face, but it's not too deep. Whereas even this one, in comparison, the Fenty one is much deeper. So while I've got no tan on, I want to keep something on hand that's light enough and matches my skin tone. And this is the perfect product. It's not too creamy, it's not too dry. It's just a really nice in-between formula that blends in so easily. It doesn't leave your skin wet. And especially when you're doing your hair down and your hair is flying all in your face, it can be really annoying actually when your face is a little bit too dewy and wet feeling. And sometimes that happens with blush where my hair will be down and it'll just stick to my face and it drives me crazy. So sometimes when I want my makeup to last all day, but it's still my everyday makeup, I just want something that's a little bit less wet. Love that one. I'm losing sight of my lips here. I'm just gonna take the product off with a wipe and just put my little Nude Sticks lip butter on to make sure that we're all nice and hydrated. And now I'm actually going to set this in with my Benefit setting spray. I got a fresh bottle of this, used one up. It's always a sad day when she's gone because it's something that I use absolutely every day. And I want to just let the skin melt and do its thing while I decide what blush to use because, to be honest, I just want to put Nude Sticks Bare back on because that's the blush that I'm kind of hyper fixated on right now. But I went digging through my stash. I went through and wanted to see if there were any shades that were screaming to me for fall. And the one that came to mind was Benefit Willa. Guys, I picked it up out of the drawer and it's shattered. I'm so upset. It's still perfectly usable and I can dip my brush in here, but definitely can't travel with that, which is so sad. I love this shade so much and it's that beautiful like mauvey purple, as well as the Benefit Pom Pom. That's very much gorgeous, like literally fall leaves shade. That's so, so nice. And of course we have the Dior Rosewood blush, which is so beautifully fall as well. I pulled out my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, which is another shade that I love to have on hand for the fall. And then a blush that I haven't used in so long is my Hourglass Ambient Strobe Lighting Blush. This one's in the shade Euphoric Fusion. I have not used the Hourglass blushes in a minute, but that's the beauty of cleaning out your makeup collection because you can see what you're having and what you're not using. Rose Ink Dahlia, classic, beautiful fall winter shade. This like deep, beautiful berry. Ooh, wow, that was getting crusty. I need to warm that up. And then I also grabbed Nude Sticks Nude Buff, which honestly I think is going to be the one that I'm going to use today because I am just in a cream blush mood. I don't know. Sometimes I feel differently. Sometimes I want to switch it up and use powder. Sometimes I use both. Lately, I'm just in my cream blush era, and it's just because it's easy. And what I realized, speaking of that hair talk, when I really don't like my hair sticking to my face, having a matte cream blush that still gives that natural lit from within luminosity just from the fact of it being cream, just because the formula is cream, not necessarily because it's wet or dewy. That's what I love about the Nudies matte blushes specifically. They have like Nudies Bloom, they're more dewier formulas, but this is actually the Nudies Matte Luxe, and it's just that velvety, soft, still glowing cream formula, and I love it so much. And this Nude Buff shade, love. It's the perfect everyday shade. So that's the one that I'm using today. If I feel like I want to layer up a powder blush after, we totally can, but I'm going to start with that and see how we feel. Once I'm done my blush, sometimes I feel like I've gone a little bit too far and I'll just kind of take my concealer brush and clean it up, go around. But otherwise, I'm loving how this base is looking. We are very wet. We definitely need to set with powder, but I'm gonna try to leave it for as long as I can just to make sure that it is settling in and doing its thing. So let's move on to eyes for a quick second. The palette that I've been wanting to reach for and use more is the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 3 palette. Now I did mention the first time that I used it that though this is such a glorious palette. I love that you get the powders as well as the two creams in here. It just screams everyday perfect neutral palette. I love the variety of shades in here. It's just truly a perfect palette for me, but I do get concerned at the price point. It's a very high price point. Even with makeup prices going up across the board, it still just seems like a lot. But the only thing that would justify the price for me is if you were looking for one palette that you're going to use every single day. And if you're like me and you do love to use a cream liner or a cream product on a daily basis, like you get a little 2-in-1. It's a 3-in-1. You get your eyeshadow palette in here and a brown and black cream product. But again, in order for that to be worth it, you'd have to have nothing else in your makeup collection, and this would have to be like starting from scratch. Otherwise, if you have other things, I don't know if it's necessary, but if you are looking for a new palette to try, this one definitely ticks a lot of boxes for me, but just keep that in mind. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts. Since we chatted about it, have any of you picked it up? What are your thoughts? Are you having the same feelings as I am? Personally, for me, I do like to have a smaller palette because I travel a lot and I like to have smaller palettes on hand, and I also don't mind having a liner. But she is beautiful and you get a lot of options in here. So with all that being said, I am just using the brown cream in here, which is blending out beautifully. And I'm just using that on my lash line. And just really subtly blending that out into a liner shape, but I'm not doing a liner specifically. I just want this to be really light, natural, everyday makeup. But I'm just taking it in that lifting direction to kind of aid in lifting my eyes and making them look more awake because I am always tired. And then I'll just take a clean, fluffy brush and just blend that over top. I'm gonna use this same brush and I'm actually gonna dip it into the cream because I recently discovered that adding this like brighter matte shadow onto the inner part of my eye just makes you look so awake. And that's in addition to or instead of using an inner corner highlight, like just taking this and running it on my lid where I would have normally just taken that deep shade and put it all over my lid or all in the crease. I recently realized that that actually makes me look more tired. So lately I've just been putting these lighter matte shades into the inner half of my eyelid really, and it just really helps you look wide awake and alive. We can then just dip into a lighter like transitional shade, and I'm just gonna run that on top of where I put the cream on the outer portion of my lash line and just kind of blend that on top. That right there, that is such a beautiful shade. I love that. So then for mascara, I have been loving the Benefit Fan Fest mascara. I love the wand. I love that it's nice and light, fluffy volume. And especially when I'm doing lighter everyday makeup, I'm also so happy to go without mascara. I don't mind it either way, but definitely when I have like a working day and I'm going and filming, I'm putting mascara on and I want to be as awake and lifted looking as possible. And mascara can just have a very transformative effect. So using this to lift and open my eyeballs. That's the mascara applied. I love the look of it. And I'm curious to know if you guys see the difference too. Like I feel like this is the biggest difference that I've made in my everyday like full face of makeup. Just having those subtly brighter inner corners, inner half of my eyelids, I feel like just makes me look so much more awake and alive. And it's not something that I ever did consistently or intentionally really. Like I might have done that if I was doing a specific like cut crease look, which is very few and far between in my makeup looks. So this has kind of been a big switch up for me. I'm gonna go back to the face and set it with powder. So I did have that kind of big awakening, if you will, when it came to the Laura Mercier setting powder when I was doing the Nikki Makeup season 3 masterclass, and I was like, okay, I get it. I'm gonna pull this out and I'm gonna keep using it and see how I feel over a longer period of time, because I feel like I haven't used it enough to be like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. But I did use this on my wedding day. I felt like my skin looked amazing, and I really just adopted that full Nikki Makeup base, even though I didn't even really use any primers because I just wanted to see how that Charlotte Tilbury cream was today. But you know, there's a few things that I'm willing to try and I'm willing to reassess. And maybe now that I've been using powder so much more in my makeup since the discovery and love with the Givenchy powder, I figured it was a good time to go back to the Laura Mercier one and see why it's been such a cult favorite of so many for so long. So we're putting it to the test, y'all. I brought it to the daily makeup station and I'm gonna keep using it and see how I feel. So I basically just put that all on the center of my face, just using the same brush that I used for my concealer and just patting that in. I think even there I used way more than I technically did on my wedding day, but I think it's okay because the heat is on. I'm gonna be sweating soon and I have lots to film, so it needs to last anyway, so that's fine. I already filled in my brows before I started because it's just the thing that takes the longest for me, so I'm now gonna go in with my e.l.f. brow lift and use this to set the brows and slick them up, which always makes a very big difference in the overall makeup look. My brows always switch up. It kind of just depends on how I'm feeling that day. Sometimes I use a pomade product like this, and sometimes I just want to use a brow gel. So I kind of go through phases. Every once in a while I like to switch it up, and right now I'm just kind of in the brow lift phase, and we're going big, we're going bold for fall. Lips is another thing that just kind of changes daily for me depending on what I'm feeling. Today, I feel like I can use something a little bit lighter. I've got my Victoria Beckham O2 lip definer, and I also have my NYX Nude Beige lip pencil, and these are the two that I kind of use the most in my rotation right now, and if I feel like something lighter, I'll go for the next one because I feel like this one just really perfectly goes with my natural lip color and looks really naturally defined. If I want something a little bit deeper or I'm using something more bold, then I'll go for the Victoria Beckham one. It's also more warm, so it kind of just depends how I'm feeling. Usually I will most often reach for the Victoria Beckham one if I have a tan or if I've applied a tan, and then when I'm more pale, like right now, my next one is just the one that does the job. I also love to wear it on its own. I'll line my lips like this and just have my lip balm or lip butter applied, and that's totally fine. I'll go about my day, and sometimes I like to have something a little bit more substantial. I feel like years ago when fall came around, I would really go for like the orangey, terracotta, burnt orange, like brighter, literally fall lip colors, and I find I'm just like not as into bold colors. Like I really have not been wearing bright, bold lips much at all in recent years, if I'm totally honest. Like I went and dug through my stash and pulled out some faves, and I'm like, wow, these are all kind of juicy style lip balms. I've got the Dior Rosewood lip oil, which I love. I have the new YSL number 15, which is a gorgeous, juicier nude. This would actually be really, really pretty. Oh, yeah. See, that's the kind of lip I'm just into right now. That looks so good, and it's so easy and wearable for every day and keeps your lips hydrated. Also, without fail, I always have some of the Revlon Super Lustrous Shine lipsticks on hand, and these ones in particular. These are kind of like my fall colors, the more berries, mauves, cooler tone shades, and these just like, come fall, you can't go wrong with any of these. Let's put on number 8, Rum Raisin, one of my faves. Ugh, you still get that gorgeous juicy lip, but then there's a little hint of color there, and you can kind of make yourself feel like you're in fall, winter, or summer. What season will you be today? Okay, yeah, we can rock with the Rum Raisin. Love that. Love that color, and those are kind of the main things that I pulled out and added to my daily makeup lineup for fall. Now that the lip is on and the rest of the makeup is on, I think we can assess and see. I could definitely use a little bit more blush. And sometimes when I don't know what tone I want, I kind of just sit and hold it up. And usually your eyeballs will tell you what goes with it best. Like I think we put this Rum Raisin on, and I'm leaning towards Benefit Pom Pom for this. Now this is a matte blush, so I'm going to use a really light hand with this. As I apply it, I'm going to take some off on the palm of my hand, and I'll just add a little bit of that on top, just for a little bit of extra color. Sometimes I'm okay at leaving it with just one blush and one layer, but sometimes it's nice to layer it up, and I kind of just see how I feel. I felt like I was lacking a little bit of color there, so I just want to add a little bit of an extra touch of color. Yes, that feels better. I feel a little bit more flushed for fall. So that is the finished makeup. We can take the toilet paper roll out. Oh no, what happened to that piece? The cowlick is cowlicking today. I don't know what to say about that one. But anyway, the hair is out, and that is my finished makeup look. Here's a look at my little updated, current, everyday makeup for the new fall season, and a few products that I have on hand that I'm going to be testing out. As we go into the colder weather, I would love to hear your thoughts. Please let me know in the comments down below what products that you are loving and what products that you are using for the new season. I hope that you guys enjoyed this makeup look, and thank you so much for being here and for watching. Love you all. See you soon. Bye!